Miami. Carter, do you want to start?
Yes, me. Good morning. Feels like we just spoke with you 36 hours ago, so I guess I'll start by asking how have the conversations been the last couple of days, and what have you guys tried to take away from the last result to lead into this one coming up?
Yeah, it was a lot about this is recovery for these guys with a quick turnaround. So a lot of the conversations are around the game and the video. So, we just finished up discussing a lot of things as far as where the game went wrong and how can we prevent that from happening again.
Do you feel like it's been a positive discussion, I guess, takeaways? I know it's not the result emotionally you're looking for, but do you think the takeaway has been positive or trying
We'll
to be?
see. The message, I think, is pretty clear from all of us. So that can only be answered by how we train over the next 2 days and how we perform on Wednesday to see what the response looks like.
I know every year is different, but when Miami came here last year, you guys were coming off the loss to DC, ended up with a pretty dominant win. And I know both sides were missing some players, but is there anything you can draw from that, or I guess any kind of message in that for your players?
No, like you said, every year is different. So we've looked nothing into last year's game or timeline leading up to it.
What's standing out about this Miami team? Everyone kind of knows the names of the players there, but what I guess maybe beyond some of the stars that kind of stand out. What do you see?
They respond. You see what the top players are capable of when they're in a tough stretch, because there were some tough results, and how they've come out of that is, being one of the best teams in the league, and showed very well in the Club World Cup and took that form into league play where they've won 3 in a row since then. And, their best players are really strong. But it's not just about, Messi, Suarez, Busquets, Alba, we know this is world class. They've done this their entire careers, but I think the pieces around them right now, are also performing at a high level. That's why their team looks so strong. And so it'll be a good challenge for us. And, like we saw on the weekend, it has to be 90 minutes of concentration and courage, both sides of the ball, to understand how to play and manage a game. So I know the guys are looking forward to it. We want to get past the frustration of what we just experienced and try to use that as a lesson to be better on Wednesday. So, a really strong opponent.
I'm going to ask one more. Sorry. Messi has multiple goals in 5 straight MLS games. When there's like a clear, and obviously there's other players you mentioned, but when there's a clear star like that on the other team, does that do anything to your, especially defense, knowing kind of, I don't know, mentally kind of having that challenge to shut down that player?
I don't know how the individual players in these moments on the field think, or you try to help position them for success. But, as a manager, what I'm trying to do is help these guys understand how we can have success and where the opponent can cause you problems. And, I would say, unfortunately, in this scenario, it's, a player that nobody has had the answer to stopping ever. So, and I say, the player, but how does Messi get the ball in dangerous spots? How does Busquets find him? How does Alba find those two? How does Suarez move off of it? And again, I'm naming guys that rightfully deserve to be talked about the way they are, is because they're elite. They play at a very high level, and it can't just be about how do you stop those 4, because those 4 are going to find the open man if you're only concerned about, trying to stop them. It always has to be a collective. There has to be communication. There has to be roles that are different within different phases of the game to try to limit their strengths. And you see all the pieces, the Segovias, the Redondos, on the back line, Falcone. These guys are, and I'm naming all of these players that are getting a lot of minutes and helping them Allende. These are really good players, and so our 11 have to be collective in everything they do to try to make them uncomfortable when we have the ball and be very connected and very strong, especially in 1v1 moments. Because even like I say all the time, if you can get the defensive structure right, it doesn't mean you're going to get the individual duels right. And if we can have success in those moments, I think we can have a good performance. But if your 1v1 duels are lost and the game opens up, that's where the passing and the level of creativity is elevated, and that's where it'll be challenging.
Pat, Miami has a new head coach this year in Javier Mastriano, and that's a change from Tata Martino last year, who had a lot of experience and success in Major League Soccer. What have you seen perhaps Miami do differently this year than they have in recent years or in the past under Martino, and how has that maybe changed under this new manager?
I think I've just talked about the ways that they can cause you problems with the ball because they can play under pressure. Their attacking shape and movement off the ball is very good. So they understand how to find space, how to approach an opponent to get players on the ball to be effective. But I think defensively, you can see just in moments where the ball turns over, the organization and how they've defended against the ball to be tough to play against. So I think that's been a strength of their team in recent months from what we've seen. Again, I don't look too much past recent form and recent games because this is the group that we're going to face that we've seen on the field, recently that's gotten them good results and good performances. So defensively, I think they've been well organized and tough to play against.
It seems like a guy like Brian Anunga is going to take on a bigger role now with Obi out, and he played on Wednesday. But it seems like watching him, he's maybe shown a little more courage or ability to go forward with the ball when the opportunity presents itself. Is that something that you've asked him to do more of or challenged him to do more of, or is that just something that's maybe coming out more now that he's more comfortable?
We've challenged our midfield to take up different shapes and different moments so we can find space to play through pressure and really to open up Evander in different ways. That's a lot of times the end goal is to free up space for him. But Brian's done a good job of taking the information we're given. He's obviously had more games, more minutes to help us better understand how we can utilize him in moments with the ball. So I think that part of his game has shown improvement.
Last one for me, and I know it wasn't technically his debut, but it was his first time since signing his first team deal, and he got some limited minutes, but Kenji Mbabadem came on for you late on Wednesday. What did you make of his performance and how he was able to come into a game late in a very high pressure situation against Columbus?
Thought it was a moment to see what he was about in an important game, and I would say it was overall relatively quiet, much like our play towards the end of the game and being creative and finding space to make them uncomfortable to attack the goal. A couple good moments, a couple moments where I think the pressing was off, and whether it was Kenji or other pieces, it didn't lead to him having bigger stretches with the ball to make an impact or defensively have us defending the ball in a way where things stood out. So it was good to see him get those minutes, but I would say it was a pretty minimal effect with the minutes he had.
I know Chris Albright last week was spotlighting Pavel about the plays halfway all year without scoring a goal, and now he scored a goal. So what do you expect them? How do you expect that to boost him going forward, or was his confidence been high all along?
Well, Pavel scored goals for us. It just maybe hasn't been. I don't know when the last goal was prior to the Columbus game. So it's been a while, but he's shown that he can score goals for us. It's the engine of our midfield, and the most honest player as far as what the game asks for and how he's ready to answer those challenges. defensively, always willing to put in the work to cover for his teammates, to play the game in an honest way with the ball. I mentioned, Brian, how our midfield can have an impact in being able to play through pressure. How does he advance into positions to be opening space, to rotate the ball, to be able to play, down a channel. He's willing to do whatever is asked of him, and he's been, I think Chris said, our most consistent player, something along those lines, and I think that's pretty accurate.
How did the group get out health-wise from Saturday? Are we,
Up to this point, pretty good. We still have a couple things to assess as far as just knocks and some uncertainty around a couple guys, but for the most part, I think we're okay. But we'll see in 24 hours what that looks like, because I think last week it was Sergio took a knock on Friday and was unavailable, and he's back in the mix now. So hopefully we get through the next stretch here before the game in a good way.
you had mentioned maybe Nick being available?
Nick's back.
How much does that help just from the kind of energy boost that he brings to the squad?
He's been around enough, even with his his absence with the injury on field, but he's been present, and his energy, his leadership has been felt the entire period of time that he's not able to be on the field with his teammates. But Nick's been Nick, which is always impactful in a positive way for our group.
Is there any more of that you can shed, any light you can kind of shed on what Kubo's dealing? Is he still kind of dealing with the same
Issues, just in the Achilles calf area. So nothing's changed since the last time we talked. So we're just trying to find solutions. Thank you.
Thank you.